And so you said, Bennett, 5 years ago you started doing stuff on your own. And I guess what was your foray? Where was it? And what kind of assets did you acquire?
Yeah, so it was in North Philly and West Philly. It was smaller stuff. I did two flips, a couple of smaller apartment buildings, a four unit conversion. So really just focusing on the smaller things. I'm actually hopefully getting today. Actually, I'm hopefully signing an AOS, getting into contract on a duplex that I'm going to do the Airbnb play. So really just sticking with the small stuff, and then keeping my eyes open for either syndicators or really just getting involved in any other way.
And so you said did a 4 unit conversion. So what conversion from what to what?
Yeah, so everyone talks about the value add play. So I know on bigger pockets they talk about, when you're looking at square footage in a house, you can sometimes see if there's like an extra bedroom to be found, or like certain things that you can look for. And I always thought if I could take a single family house and actually flip it into a couple of units, like that's a great value add. So I figured out what the zoning would that was necessary in order to be a multifamily property, and then I started looking into areas where they were single family houses. So I would need to get permission, but by right I was actually allowed to convert it. So I found a property that had enough square footage, and I converted it into four two-bedroom apartments. So it was actually a very large house in North Philly, but then converting it into the four units, and then bringing in the cash flow and stuff like that. It was pretty sweet.
Well, as they say in the business, you have chutzpah. So when was this built, this house?
A long time ago.
I mean,
I
like a
actually
hundred,
think
like is 100 years old, like an old house, or
um, I don't think 100 years, probably like 67 years old.
I see. And how many square feet?
It was the whole thing was about 3,000. I actually just sold it in May, which I'm happy about. Moving on to bigger, better. Just that wasn't the location where wanted to be.
What did you buy the house for? What did you put into it?
So I bought it for 70. Actually got it from a wholesaler. So I bought it for 70. Put in about 200 to 220, and then the ARV was about 400.
Got it. Good work, man. No, I mean seriously, like wow. And I'm hearing and kind of what you're saying between the lines to boot is this was not a great neighborhood that you're buying a 3,000 square foot home for 70 grand.
Right. Yeah. I think getting started, it was like a place where I was able to actually start in. But as I see, as my coaching practice picks up, and as I see, where I want to see myself with the real estate, I don't want to be spread out. So I rather just try to focus in different areas.
Well, very impressive that you would have the chutzpah to take something like that on. Are you yourself handied, or you on a scale of 1 to 10, and how did you deal with the rehab of this
Yeah.
monster?
It's funny you asked that because I recently I bought a basketball hoop for my son. Speaking about athletics, and I thought like for sure I could put this thing together, and it was such a shot to my ego that like, oh, I don't have the right tools, I don't know what I'm doing, and like it took me like 2 weeks for like every stage of the next like piece of the plans. So I thought I was handy, but I think not as handy as I thought I was.
I
So
see. Well, that's funny. If your kid was anything like I was, he's dying to play. I mean, it's the most exciting thing in the world to get your own basketball hoop. Your
yeah.
son's probably dying for you to get this thing up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was more for me than for him. Is
Okay.
my
Another.
excuse.
So he's only like 6 months. Is that what you're saying?
He's four. He's only four. So
Okay, I'm kidding. Okay. And so what was that process like, finding contractors to do, such an incredibly steep, heavy lift rehab?
yeah. So I guess it was hard. It wasn't easy. It was hard. I actually had to fire one contractor, just because he just wasn't progressing, wasn't getting anything done. And I would say that it was probably more than I should have chewed off from one of my first one of my first investments. Just because there's so like I guess the more you're looking to do to a property, the more there just more could go wrong. So if somebody could just get a place and just look to repaint it, or change a bathroom or a kitchen, like that's a lot simpler than like really ripping everything down to the studs and opening up and realizing that the foundation is messed up and you need more support, and you need to like rip up the water line to bring in more water into the building because it just doesn't have enough water to actually give to 4 apartments. So it was definitely a big undertaking. If I could, I'm happy I did it. I don't know if I would do it again if if I was just starting out.